Hello. Hello. Hello everyone. Let me know if my voice is clear and you can hear it. Just do a thumbs up. hello وليد. أنا ما بردش. ممكن أكون فوتت حاجة بس أنا عادة برد. أنا آسفة. أهلا. Hello. Okay, my voice is okay. Great. Hello everyone. Okay, super. I'll speak in English since we have some, I can see some names. We have a few foreigners who don't know Arabic. But at any point, if there is anything that is not clear in English or you want to ask something specific in Arabic, just let me know and I'll switch على عربي على طول. The backdrop? Oh, this is my real life wall. Yeah, I hang like stuff that I'm proud of. عليها. Okay, I'll try the last live I did, I missed a couple of questions. This time we'll do at the beginning like a short interview, or if you have any questions, I'm just here and I'm gonna answer them. But please save in the live because the internet connection is bad. Okay, I will. I hope not, like the internet will not let me down this time and I can save it, sure. Hello. Okay, let's start. I think, let me introduce myself if some of you don't know me, of course. My name is Dina Amin. I'm a stop motion animator and a maker. I'm based here in Cairo, Egypt. I originally did not study animation or filmmaking or anything. I studied industrial design. At first I went to the GUC, the German University in Cairo, for 2 years, and then I decided I want to study abroad and I wanted to specialize in product design. So I studied industrial design in Malaysia, a bit weird, but this was my destination, and I went there and I lived there for 4 years. I studied industrial design, specialized in industrial design. And then I came back to Egypt, and then I worked in, you know how it is in Egypt, you start as a product designer, but then you work as a graphic designer, and then you manage social media a bit, and then, I don't know, years passed and you're doing something totally different. Like, I just found myself in so many different jobs. So 1 year I decided that I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna focus on one thing that I really love, because I've been doing all sorts of things and I started to forget, or I had no idea what I loved and did not like anymore. So I decided to just take a break and just focus on one thing, and I'm gonna do this one thing without thinking of if it's gonna be my career or not, if it's gonna bring me money, or if it's gonna work in Egypt, if people understand it in Egypt or not, or like my parents know how to tell other parents what I do. I didn't care about that. I was like, I'm gonna do something that I just love to do. I just want to check if we're all Egyptians here. I'll just speak in Arabic, but if we have someone requesting I speak in English, I'll just continue in English. I don't know if there are any. كله مصري هنا? I'm not sure. I think there is no one, right? Maybe they left. If there is anyone who wants me to speak in English, to just let me know now or forever. I don't know. Okay, then I'll continue in English. Okay. That's the second live. Okay. So what happened is I decided that no. I mean, like, I'm very particular about this because I was the only foreigner in Malaysia in my school. So I was the only one, and I had to learn Malay, and people would not like talk to me in English. So I'm like, no, even if there is one person, I will speak in English. Yeah, so this one thing that I decided I wanted to do, even if like there is no actual job, but I love to do was I love taking products apart a lot. I had a box in my place in my room where I collected all junk. And I always had no time to like go through them. I love taking products apart and just checking what's inside and how it all comes together. So I decided that I'm gonna do this for life. Like this, if there is like one thing that I want to do in my whole life is to take products apart. So this is unusually how I started. And I decided I love to document my projects, so I decided I'm gonna. I was working part-time at that time, and in Egypt weekends start on Friday. So I decided on Friday I'm gonna pick one of these products in the scrap box I had, and I'm gonna take it apart and document it on Instagram, just like a way for me to check how this project was gonna progress. And to be honest, I thought that I'm going to end up redesigning one of these products and coming up with a better version of it, because I did love product design a lot, but I thought I really hated one part of it where we design things that end up eventually in the trash, and this is something that I really hated. Hello, haha, Nahla, hello. So I thought this is what I'm going to do. Like one day I'm gonna redesign one of these products. But I decided I started taking them apart, and I would post one photo with and I had like no one on Instagram. It was just for me. Like I would put one photo with the full product, and then another photo with just a photo with all the different parts. Until one day I thought, I was taking apart a shaver and I thought, oh my god, this is awesome. This is like a puzzle, and I want to show people just not the parts. I want to show how this all comes together. And I know this thing called stop motion, so I'm just gonna try it out. I know how to, like, I just knew the basic concept that you take several photos, you put them like behind each other, and then when it all plays, it's gonna look like as if it's moving on its own. And this is what I did. I didn't even know there is like an app, stop motion app or anything. I just did it with a slideshow app, and I took photos like slides, and then I made like a 1-minute video, and I tried to post it on Instagram. And of course at that time you could only post 15 seconds. So I go to, this is literally what happened. I go to Google and I'm like, how to make like stop motion video shorter, longer, and then this thing about FPS, the frame rate per second. And I was like, what is frame rate? I didn't even know what frame rate is. And if anyone doesn't know, frame rate is the number of frames or photos you see in 1 second, and this translates into like the speed of the video you're making. So I was like, okay, interesting. There's a lot about stop motion that I didn't know. And I was hooked from that moment on. I started animating. Every Friday I would animate a product instead of just posting a still photo of all the parts. And week after week I would just animate them randomly, and then I started seeing characters in the pieces, so I would animate these characters, and then week later the characters became more elaborate, and for example they would stand, and then week later there would be a story, and then week later I learned more advanced stuff about stop motion. And to make a very long story short, I did this for 1.5 years. Every single Friday I would do this, and this is how I learned stop motion. And 3 years later, 3.5, I would say 4 years later, I have my own company where I do stop motion videos commercially and other making projects as well. Yeah, so this is how I got into stop motion, this is how I learned it, and yeah, this is what I do. If you have any other questions, just let me know. Shoot, I can read them now. and answer if you have any questions. How do you okay, as an animator, I think this applies to other skills as well, especially like stop motion is all about practicing, practice, because there's like practicing and knowing the basics as well. Like when I started, I did not know anything about stop motion, and I wasn't into knowing things particularly about animating. It was all about getting the ideas out of my head and making or like showing it to other people. So it was more about storytelling and being creative until I decided, okay, I want to work on my animation skills now. So I started learning the basics of animation, the 12 principles of animation. I didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, since this was not my background at all. So animating in particular, you would know the basics of it, the principles of animation, and then you'd practice, because there's something in stop motion called timing and spacing, and this you would only understand and get the feel of by practice. You would just be better at it by practice. Read books, ask other animators. If you see something in particular that you wonder how they make it, usually I ask them and they just tell me. So it's a very good community, the stop motion community. How do you choose what project to do next? This is a bit hard. This is really hard. I usually have, like you see, these are all ideas and projects that I want to do one day. There's also like a third line, but it had a lot of paper and it fell. Yeah, the habla أفكاري وقع. But yeah, so it's very hard. It depends on like for me, because now I reached a point where I want to monetize some of my projects. So either I wait until I find like the right partner to do it with, or sometimes it's just the right time to like the jiggly eyes I did this week or last week. I had this idea for quite a time, and I always wanted to do like a PDF a freebie, and now it seemed like the best time to do it because everyone is at home, and I felt like, okay, I wanted to offer something for free for a very long time, so this is the right time. Sometimes I get a sponsor in the right time, and I have the right project for it. Sometimes it depends on my time. Sometimes, of course, there are projects that are long term, and sometimes there are some ideas where it takes me like a day or two, so it depends on my schedule as well. But I've developed a rule, because I work on my own from home all the time, corona or no corona, lockdown or no lockdown, I work from home. I have a home studio, so I have this rule where I only work on 2 projects at a time. I 2 projects, and I keep some time for commercial any commissions, so that I have room. If I get any client or something, I can squeeze this in. But yeah, I don't start like billions of projects, because I used to do this. I would start like 4 or 5 projects and at the same time and finish none of them. So yeah, so it's you have to make your own rules if you work on your own. There was one question. Okay, I hope this answers your question. What is the process like, and how long does it take you on average to complete an animation? Including, it's really different. Every animation is different depending on what I'm going to do. Some animations are very simple. Some animations are more time consuming. Something can take me a month from start to finish to prepare until I animate it. And some can take me 3 days, some can take me a day. It really depends, a day or 2. It depends on the idea and how much preparation I need for it. But usually I start with an idea. I do a bit of research. As you see like this, I write every single idea I have. and this have helped me a lot to even generate more ideas, because I noticed that when I just tend to have ideas in my head and I don't write them down, I just keep them in my head and I keep thinking of them over and over and over, and I don't like mentally I don't have space to generate any other ideas. I just keep thinking of them and I don't do them, so I feel like, oh my god, I'm not productive, I'm not really doing anything, I don't have ideas, I'm not creative anymore and all this. But once I just write them down and pin them up, and now I'm mentally thinking one day, like, there will be a time for it later, but it's there. I started like coming up with so many ideas and so many projects, and it's like a way to get over your creative block somehow. So this is what I do. I take one of these papers, I do a bit of research and come up with an action plan of what I need to do, if I need to buy something for it, what materials would I need, what kind of preparations, if I'm gonna shoot it in my own studio, or if I need to work somewhere else. I've been recently doing this, and then I would sketch up a small story, not really a storyboard, but just a thumbnail storyboard of how the animation is going to look like just to sort of plan it out and make sure that what's in my head is actually gonna work out. But I'm not really a sketcher. I'm more into, since like my background is product design, so I'm more into holding something actually and like looking at it and feeling it in my hands, and then I would start imagining how will this move or how will I animate it, and I go like one by one. Since I also document my project most of the time, I make like YouTube videos about them or something, so I have another action plan of how to document it. And so I treat my projects, if it's not done commercially or like a commission for a client, I treat myself as a client. So I have the deliverables that I have to deliver at the end. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be in this format and this format, and I need to like set up like this. And then there's the planning, there's the storyboarding, and then the props making, or if I need to prepare any replacements part. For stop motion replacements is when you so stop motion, there are different techniques. One of them is the main one is that you move an object several times. For like in each photo you move your objects a bit, and then there's another technique where you already prepared different variations of your object, and during animating you would replace them and take a photo, and then take the other one, replace it, and this you can produce with this different results than just moving your object. Like you can make things go bigger and smaller, or transform from one object to another. So for this you need to prepare some stuff earlier than just coming on set and animating. And then there's setting the lights, and then animating, and then there's post-production, where if you have any editing to be done, there's sound as well, and then you deliver the video. Let me see if I missed. Are there specific genres or stories that you always tap into? So my work is mostly, because my background is industrial design, so my work is mostly influenced by that. So I like to animate products. I like to, especially junk products. So I like to animate waste and play with waste. This is what I love doing. I love taking something that was deemed as garbage and died in someone's eyes, and I bring it back to life, and I just try to play with it and make something with it. So I think talking about trash, or presenting trash in a different light, this is what inspires my work the most. Why these specifically? I think because of like my background and why I switched from industrial design to this medium. If like some people call me an artist now, I'm not really sure, but I think that's why like I really hated about industrial design that most of the things we use on a daily basis, we don't even know how they work, and we just use them, and they eventually it will be thrown away. And I used to go to, now of course it's not there these days, but to the Friday market in Egypt, and you see all the junk there. I went to Garbage City as well in Cairo, and it's just like I couldn't live with it. Like I know product design is very, of course, it's a huge part of this world, and we need things and we need products, and it makes our life easier, of course, but there's a part of it that is very wasteful, and this is what I didn't like. Let me see if there are. Hello. That was the most exciting to you. It's very hard to actually choose, because I know since most of my projects now, like I'm transitioning from doing, like I'm trying to balance between doing commercial work and my own work. It's always like you're trying like to monetize it somehow. So I'm trying to make my own personal projects now to monetize them more than the commercial work. So because these are like my own ideas. So I've been doing more of this year and the end of last year. So it's always exciting. It's always like I'm biased, of course. Like I like my ideas, of course. So, but yeah. I can't really choose. They're all very fun. Like, and it's always like I'm always doing something that is always new. So I can't really choose. Like I did one with Zest, the cooking channel, and we did the Moulid Dol Arust al Moulid. And I made one with things around the house that you can do. Like I got a taro vegetable, olesa, and then I sculpted it into the moulid doll, and then I made a mold for it. So there's a lot of actually industrial design in this. Like this is industrial design. This is how they make it, like molding. There's a lot, like 2 parts mold and doing all this. This is actually a bit of industrial design, but into cooking. And then we made a mold from gelatin, and then we poured in the chocolate, and we made it like from chocolate. But this was an exciting one. How is the community where I live? The community of stop motion designers is very, very small. Like we're literally like, if I'm exaggerating, we're like 15 stop motion artists. Did I say industrial design? I say stop motion, right? Yeah. We're literally like extremely few, and this is because like I think stop motion at some point died in Egypt. There were a few who pioneered it, like did shows that were actually on Egyptian TV, like the Prophet Stories, Qasas al-Anbiya, and there was a series, kids one that there was one where it said all the alphabets for kids, and I think this is very powerful when it's done commercially in that sense, that masses watch it, but then it kind of died, and then now mostly stop motion in Egypt is done very, very, very few in advertising only. Very, very few. There's one one series that was done last year, if I'm not mistaken, called Farah. I'm not sure if they're gonna do another season for it or not. It's a TV series for kids. But yeah, it's almost like we're extremely few here. Like, and the job, like there isn't a lot of work for stop motion. But this is this is what I believe in. I believe that whatever work you put out there, this is when you create the need for it. So if you show what you're capable of, someone will say, oh, okay, I need this too, so we can do this. So I'm hoping it's gonna change. How has social media affected and influenced creatives' work and practice, in your opinion? Like, definitely for me, it helped me a lot, because I started like showing all my projects on Instagram. I didn't initially like expect to have like, I only used Instagram to document. Like, for me, I didn't think people would want to watch this on Instagram, and I had no one there, but I thought I liked how the grid looks. But definitely Instagram have helped me to reach different audiences and reach even audiences overseas, and get clients from abroad, and get commercial work, and start a company, and just spread my work. So it definitely helps to use social. It's also a community. It's very easy to get to know each other on social media, and get to know creatives from different fields. So I know a lot of stop motion animators in Germany, in UK, in Canada, in a lot of places, and it's a lot easier to learn from each other and ask questions and be like, okay, so if you have a client from US, how do you charge this, or blah, 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 and have all these questions. So it's a good way to make a network, and it's very easy to find each other on social media and make a network of people, a community of people, and it's also very encouraging. Like, you see other people's work, you learn from them, you ask them questions, and what else? It could be a bit, I don't know. It definitely wastes time, of course, like if you get sucked into this world. But I think there are more pros than cons for using social media to develop like a network, and also spread your work and market yourself and all this. Who is your biggest influence? Who's my biggest influence? I like actually makers a lot. Like, I think there are many makers who had big influence on me, and on like just even thinking that I can do this too, or maybe I want to explore this as well. Seeing that the type of projects people work on, because when I first started, so someone like I'm gonna say her name wrong, but Simone Gertz, I'm sure I said her name wrong. The one who made the Queen of Shitty Robots. I love what she does, and when I started doing all the, I'm gonna say it, weird projects that I'm doing, and I would tell people here in Egypt that I want to do this as a job, as a career, I had so many laughs, and I had people just tell me, oh, you want to be an artist, or you want to be an influencer, or I'm like, no, I'm a maker, or like I'm a stop motion artist, and there are people who do this and manage to to monetize their projects, and it doesn't have to be like an influencer. I hate this so much, but you can do like science projects, or you can do a lot of projects, cool projects that are not like that, not in that sense. I had people also tell me, oh, it's okay, you're a girl, or like you're just a woman, you don't have like any responsibility, so it's okay, you don't need to like make money, you can just play around with your trash. I had people tell me that too, and it was a bit bumming, but seeing people, other makers, doing their own thing and succeeding in it and enjoying, like really doing what they love, really inspired me to pursue what I'm doing now, also just working on things that I really love. I love trash, I love stop motion, and I love taking products apart. I'm gonna continue doing this, hopefully. So yeah, I think hers is like in the recent years, she's been someone who has a great influence on me. What's lacking in our creative community in Egypt, in your opinion? And how do you suggest addressing these? I think we have extremely talented people in Egypt. We have extremely talented people in Egypt. This is no doubt. Maybe people do not know each other, so there aren't a lot of collaborations happening. And then I think the biggest, like what I've struggled with is working on like being a creative. It's always like they're separated. Like either I be creative in commissions or I be creative as on my own side projects. And I see a lot of people don't have time to practice like their side projects, but it doesn't have to be either or. Like I can also monetize my side projects and do these sort of ideas I have that represent me or represent or like very specific, like with a specific medium, but also find a way to monetize them. So this is what I feel lacks in Egypt. Like if I take for example stop motion, it's only done for or the only way to monetize it is to do commercials or to do advertising. But you can do TV series, you can do movies, you can do music videos, you can do a lot of educational medium. Like if you have a company that does like TED education or any other medium, like videos are not only advertisements. There are so many different types of videos that can be made. But it's always either two things. Either there is no budget for it, and always the time. Either there is no budget or there is no time. So, for example, even music videos, it's always done like, okay, we need it in 2 weeks. Most of the time, we need this in 2 weeks, and it can't be done like this. Or there is no budget, or I'm always, because I always get like briefs from agencies or clients. I see that agencies always pitch to clients ideas that, or not necessarily ideas that has been done before, but they always reference things that are already done before. And of course the client would want these exact references, because they cannot imagine. It's not the job for a client to imagine what this will turn out to be. It's the job of the agency to present their concepts. But the problem is they pitch references that are already done. So of course the client never wants to change them. So I always get briefs from agencies with ideas that were already implemented before, and they just want me to reproduce them. And they tell me, oh, it's the client, they need it exactly like that. They don't want, so they always blame the client that the client wants it like this. When if the agency never pitched something, referenced something from an actual reference, the client will not need it. If you get a storyboard artist and actually pitch something that has never been done before, and not put actual references in your pitches, then there is room for new ideas and things that haven't been developed before to be born. So I think this is a typical mistake in Egypt. Yeah, so I think this is something that could be easily changed. Like, what advice do you give to young creatives who are still studying design, film, etc.? Document your work early on. like university years years is a great time to that someone is handing you a ready prepared project. You don't even have to get like not the idea, like the project brief itself. You already have a project brief to work on. So always document and build up your portfolio early on. Learn how to document your work. I don't mean on social media or anything. Just learn how to document something from beginning to end. And then if you're working with film specifically, I would always advise to work on something small. Start small and not do something massive. I usually see people, especially in stop motion or something, they come and they're like, I've been wanting, like the first thing they ever want to do, like they still did not develop their skills yet, they're still working on their skills, but the first thing they want to do is make a whole movie. And if, of course, like it kills them because it's huge making a whole movie. You get frustrated, you work on, and if you already invested a lot of time and effort in it, and then you get, of course, stuck in the middle, and you already put a lot of work in it, and you don't know if you should finish it or not, and it just drags you. So my advice is always to work on, start with something small and gradually start making bigger projects, but work on manageable sizes first. Like, I didn't consciously do this, like, but my first project, or like the year and a half that I did this, I worked consistently, but on very small movies. No, not movies, videos. I can't call them a movie, but videos. And I think this is why it succeeded, or like it made me reach now the level that I'm at. If I've started with doing a massive short film at the beginning, I wouldn't have finished it, and I wouldn't have developed the way I've developed. I didn't do this consciously, but now that I'm thinking of it, I think this is why my project succeeded. Okay. Oh, I think I'm behind. I have to like scroll. How are you spending your day? I'm trying. I'm like from that group of people who try to dive into work, to not think of what's happening. I think this is my way of coping. Of course, like all the work I had this year has been cancelled. All the conferences, all the workshops, everything has been cancelled, and this is like from last year. So of course I had lots of uncertainties. Of course, clients even send me like this month has been crazy. They send me, they want to do something, and then they're like, we're not sure. I'm also not sure. So to try to like distract myself from all this, I've been trying to work on some projects, and if I don't feel like it, I honestly don't think that we should push ourselves that hard. Like, what's going on is crazy, and it's okay to just take a few steps back and just do nothing. Just like try to absorb what's happening. But if you feel like doing projects, I'm more from that group of people. Like, I try to distract myself with work, so I'm gonna continue like doing small animations and trying to do some woodworking projects actually in my studio. What advice do you give to other creatives who are also I don't know. I think what I exactly said just now, like, don't really push yourself. If you feel like working, if you feel like developing a skill, if you feel like just do nothing, then it's a very stressful time, especially if you also do if you're also like working on a lot with clients overseas. I think, I'm not sure if things in Egypt are work is going normally for other creatives, but definitely there's a lot of uncertainties, and yeah, it's very stressful when you don't know like if you should continue working on that project or not. Is the client gonna say no? They don't know and you don't know, and so yeah, so just try to do, if you want to be productive and learn a new skill, do something new, or just do nothing, don't do it. Yeah. How can they still be productive? They can, I mean, if you're now working from home, because working from home is very different than going to an office. Until now I've been working from home. First thing you do is you don't work with your pajamas. This is like a no-no. You will not get any work done. Like, the first rule I have is that I have to wear something different, as if I'm heading to work. So I can't just work in bed. Like, I have to change what I'm wearing, and then I head to my room studio. This just takes me from one mentality to another, that I'm now working. So this is not Dina who's like being lazy. This is Dina who's working. Yeah, so this is one tip. Can you show us? Yeah, I'm gonna do today a quick tutorial. I already set it up, and it's a very, very quick one. If you have any questions, ask me, because it's sometimes a bit hard to animate and answer questions as well. And I sometimes, this is what happens with live, like I can't see them at the same time you're asking. I will see them like a bit later. But yeah, I'll show you something very, very simple that I've already prepared. It's part of the kit, not really a kit, but like the printable that I made available, and this you can download from my website. You'll find a link in my bio, and it teaches you. I already made a tutorial as well in Arabic and English, so that you can choose whichever language you prefer. And the tutorial and printable will teach you a specific stop motion technique called replacement. I mentioned it earlier. And replacement, a stop motion animation, is when you have pre-made variations of your object or part of your object. You usually see them in puppets where they have different mouth expressions, and in big movies like Laika or other big movie productions, you usually see half the face gets like the lower part of the face gets replaced with different mouth expressions. This is called replacement animation. You have different variations of your object, and you can produce different results with just rather than just moving your objects. So I've made this printable with different eyes that are blinking in different positions, different on different steps. So if you replace, and they are in order, and if you replace each one, eventually you'll have an eye that is blinking abnormally, if I would say that. So I'm gonna switch the camera now to our object that we're gonna animate, and you're gonna see me. You're not gonna be able to see the whole set, but I'm gonna tell you what's there. So we're gonna animate. We're gonna animate. We're gonna animate this bottle, and I filled it out with water, so it's heavy, so that I don't easily move it. And I have here a piece of blue tack, or like tacky tack. What is it called? Stick tack? I'm not really sure. And this is how I'm gonna hold up, get my eyes to stick. And the camera is straight. Hey patatas! Hello! The camera is straight in front of the bottle. It shows a bit of the background and the table. I'm using the lights. I'm using room lights. I'm just using whatever I have here. So I have one light source that is coming at an angle, and you can see like it makes a bit of light here, like a reflection, or what is it called? A rim of light here. and I have indirect light up there on top of my subject. I'm gonna use my camera, and since I'm using my phone for the live, I'm gonna use my camera that is hooked to my laptop, and I'm gonna use stop motion software called Dragon Frame, and this is how I'm gonna see what my camera is seeing. So you tether the camera to your laptop, and then you'll be able to see the live view of your camera. So you don't actually take photos from the camera itself, you use the software, it's through the software. So let me do this now. So okay, so I opened Dragon Frame. And what I'm gonna start doing is, I have these in order. I'm gonna take them, of course the laptop doesn't show on camera. I'm having a close-up of just the bottom. So I'm gonna put my eyes in order so that I never lose track of it. And I'm gonna just do a simple animation of the eyes blinking, but then I want the eyes to appear. Software is called Dragon Frame. Yeah, it's cool. But I actually want them to appear out of nowhere. So I want the bottom to be just a regular eye, and then I want eyes to appear, and then it would blink. So to do this, I'm gonna actually shoot in reverse. So I'm gonna start with the eyes, and then I'm gonna make them disappear and reverse this in Dragon Frame. So it's gonna be clearer when I do this, but let's start first. And if you have any questions, type them down, and I'll try to make sure to look and see them. But I'm gonna explain while I'm animating. So maybe you'll see a bit. So this is our bottle from front view, if you can see a bit. And you see if I put my hand, here is my hand as well, because this is the live view now, and this is what the camera is seeing. So I don't have to touch my camera or anything. Usually there is a keypad that comes with Dragon Frame, and you would use this as a remote to capture your videos, so you don't even need to touch your laptop. But since this is like just a small demonstration, I'm just gonna do it from here. So since I want, first thing you do is you check your camera settings, and you can do this through Dragon Frame itself. And I'm also going to check my focus, and you can also, here it's okay, so it's pretty focused. You can also do this through Dragon Frame itself. It can, with some cameras, you can actually adjust the focus. Okay, I'm just gonna close this. And here is my timeline. This is where the photos would appear. And I want to center my bottle here. Okay, make sure everything is centered. And I'll step away, make sure that nothing is in my scene, and I'm gonna take a photo. This is the first eye. And what I can do is turn on the onion skin, and onion skin shows me the last photo that I took. Let me phrase it like that. It shows what your camera is seeing as a transparent layer over the last photo that you've taken. So if I remove the eyes now, I'm gonna make sure that I don't move anything else at all. Now, you won't be able to really see it here, but you'll see like the eye that was there, you'll see it like a ghost, like a shadow. So this will help you to know where your objects were placed, the last frame, and how much you should move. Not you should, but it just give you a guide on how much you've moved your object or something. How many frames per second? Okay, so in stop motion, you'd usually either shoot on something called ones or twos. So on twos means that you're gonna shoot 12 frames per second, but for each photo you're gonna repeat twice. So when you put your photos later in 24 frames per second or 25 frames, you're gonna double each photo. So it's gonna play. Usually it has just a more stop motion-y feel, and it's a lot easier to shoot just 12 frames than 24 frames. So on ones you'd shoot 24 frames in 1 second. So for example, if I want to move, like if you see this, if I want to move this eye from here to here, and I'm just shooting 12 frames per second, like in 1 second it's gonna do this movement. So I'll take 12 different photos until it reaches here, and then double each photo twice. This is on twos. If I'm shooting on ones, I'm gonna take 24 different photos until it reaches here. So it's it's a lot harder, because then you have to be very, very precise on the arc that you're animating. Otherwise, it's gonna look not like jiggery. Is this a word? Jiggery? I'm not sure. Like wonky animation. It's not so. It's a huge skill to be able to animate on ones for 24 frames per second. Since I made this printable 6 frames, so I'm gonna make them. I'm gonna animate on 12 frames and on twos as well. So it's gonna be like a very, very fast blinky eyes. So if I'm gonna animate different things at once, so here I'm just animating the eyes, but if I'm gonna animate a movement plus the eyes or the arms, the mouth, a lot of things moving, I try every time to animate in order. So let me remove this. So I'm gonna animate every time I start animating with the eyes. I'm gonna do the eyes, and then I move on to the mouth, and then I move on to the arms, for example, and I'm gonna continue in this order so that I don't forget. So every time, every photo, I start with the eyes, mouth, hands, for example. Not in that specific order, but just you get what I mean. So I'm gonna replace with the second eye, and I'm gonna try to, and with the onion skin helps me to position this kind of blurred position so that I can see let me do it here. Okay, that's close. And then I step back, I take a photo, I make sure that my own shadows are not in the photo, and then I take this off, and then I switch to the second. I usually personally prefer not to use the onion skin. I use something called the toggle in Dragon Frame, and what this does is it shows you your last frame and your live view after each other fast, so you get like the sense of like the movement. I feel this like how far the movement is from that, so I prefer this. But for something like replacement, when you need to put something precisely in the same position again, onion skin is better. It requires a lot of patience. It does. It requires a lot of patience. It's not easy to put in the same position. Well, it depends. There are a few tricks. We're back? Okay. I think I need to just charge the phone. Okay. So this one from just the first placement, it was spot on. So I'll just take a step back and take a photo. Then carefully remove it, and then on to the next. Oh, this one too, okay. Okay, I'm getting it exactly right. Okay, second one. And then carefully remove second one. Okay. And then the last one. So I've made 6 frames, so I know that exactly I need to take 6 photos of this. A bit on top. And I need to actually get it a bit to the left. Okay, this is perfect. And then, so I've done my replacements, and okay, I think the live will end in around 5 minutes, so we can start a new one. Okay, I'm actually I prepared a very short animation, so we're actually pretty much done. What we can do is that we don't have to, because these are repeating, so we can just copy and paste them in the software and not take the photos over and over again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do the editing later, but I'm gonna show you that. So I'm just gonna copy this, and we can insert frames. So I just copied the first photo with it, and to animate that it shows from out of nowhere, we're actually gonna animate it in reverse. So okay, so I have 2 minutes remaining, so I'm gonna tell you how it's done. To make it appear that it's appearing out of nothing, we animate this in reverse. So I'm gonna take a few photos, actually 4 photos, where in each photo I'm gonna cut my frame, my eyes a bit, and take a photo, and then cut it again, make it smaller, and take a photo, make it smaller, and take a photo, until it's like a dot. And this is just done in 4 photos to make it appear like quick. So the less photos you take, the quicker your video, the more photos it's gonna be, the slower your video will be. So this is how you animate in reverse. You actually have your object done, and then you destruct it until, or you cut it out, or you move some parts until you get the result you want. Are you always super precise with lining up the onion skin? It depends on the animation. If I'm doing something fast and quick, you can get away with not really lining up some stuff. I only have 40 seconds. I'm gonna try to yeah, I took 1 picture for this because in the software I'm animating 12 frames, but when I put them up in Premiere or After Effects, I'm gonna make them on 2. So I'm gonna Hello, I'm back. Okay, a few questions that I've lost the questions. If you'd like to ask them again, please do. So yeah, Muhammad was asking me if yeah. So when I edit after Dragon Frame, I always shoot raw photos and then I edit them, and then I import them into my any video software. Like you can use Premiere or After Effects, and then I put them onto. I animate on personally. So far, I've been animating on twos. Maybe like soon I want to try animating on ones. This will be a challenge. But yeah, this is usually how you. This is like the how it's animated, like in stop motion on ones or twos. Any more questions? Let me know, like before like properly ending our session. Let me know if there are questions that I haven't answered, or if you have any questions as well. Let me know. Dun, dun, dun. Gonna wait. You're welcome. Thank you for hanging out and joining the live and hearing me talk. I hope that it's been informative for you and helpful. Always, if you have any questions that I haven't addressed, or if you any other time, if you'd like to know anything about stop motion, just get in touch, and I'd love to answer any questions you have. Any difference between one or two photos? Just the feeling of the animation on ones, it's very different. But if done like with much talent, like it gives a different feeling, of course, because it's because you can get very precise movements from it. On twos, it becomes more because you're only seeing 12 frames, so you're tricking your brain, your eyes, into connecting the other movements, like filling in the other movements between the photos. So you don't actually show like every single photo where your hand is going from here to here. You're just showing 12, so your brain has to do much work. So it's not as precise as shooting on ones. And also if like you're doing some slow motion shots, doing them on ones is more precise than doing them on twos. But again, this requires a lot more talent and more patience to animate on ones than twos. I know some people who also animate 18 frames per second, so they don't animate 12 or 24, they animate 18 in the middle. And this is just how their sense of animation works. It works for them. So let me know if you have any other questions before I leave, before I go. Wait, I'll finish off the animation, and I'm gonna post it in my stories to show you how it turned out. And then yeah, always like get in touch if you have any questions. And I'm gonna read. If there is no questions, I'm gonna sign off. Okay, only different ways. Only different ways. What do you mean different ways? Just a different feel of the animation. Like if you see. You can get very precise movements. So if you see movies in Leica and longer movies, they're done 24 frames per second. So it's very different than seeing like smaller, quick animations that are done just on twos. You can usually like spot the difference. It's not like jiggery as like 10 frames per second. But it has, sometimes I actually love the 12 frames per second feeling, like the on twos feelings, because it's not perfect movement, but But yeah, it's just a bit it's different, yeah. So you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And as I said before, if you want to learn anything about stop motion, or if you have any questions, always get in touch. Thank you for joining. Have a good quarantine, I guess. Bye.